First contact nightmare. The massive fusion engines of the UES Thunderchild pulsed with brilliant blue energy as the experimental vessel emerged from its quantum fold, stars spinning into unfamiliar patterns across the view screens. Captain Nikolai Volkov steadied himself against the command chair, his weathered face betraying none of the anxiety churning in his gut. This was supposed to be a routine test jump, humanity's first venture beyond the solar system using the experimental quantum fold drive. Instead, they were lost among unknown stars. "Status report," Volkov commanded, his Russian accent more pronounced under stress. Lieutenant Marcus Reed, the ship's navigation officer, worked frantically at his console. "Quantum fold stabilized, Captain, but—" He paused, rechecking his instruments. "We're approximately 2,700 light-years from Earth. Nothing matches our star charts." Silence fell across the bridge as the six-person crew absorbed this devastating news. The Thunderchild carried supplies for 3 weeks. They were impossibly far from home with no way to communicate their situation. "Life support and defensive systems fully operational," reported Commander Jaya Patel, the XO, her dark eyes scanning multiple holographic displays. "Quantum fold drive needs 72 hours to recharge." Volkov nodded, mind racing through contingencies. They needed information, resources, and a plan to get home. "Captain," the urgent voice of Sensor Officer Wei Zhang cut through the tension. "Multiple artificial structures detected in nearby space, and vessels, dozens of them, following coordinated flight paths." Volkov strode to Zhang's station, studying the sensor readings. The structures were massive space stations or orbital habitats that dwarfed anything humanity had built. The vessels moved with precision that spoke of advanced technology and coordination. "We've stumbled into someone else's territory," Volkov said quietly. As if on cue, Lieutenant Diana Torres at Communications reported, "5 vessels have altered course, Captain. They're approaching our position rapidly." "Defensive posture," Volkov ordered calmly. "Shields at maximum but weapons passive. This is first contact, let's not start a war." The view screens showed 5 dart-shaped vessels approaching in perfect formation. Their hulls gleamed with an iridescent material that seemed to shift colors as they moved. "They're scanning us," reported Dr. Omar Hassan, the science officer. "Very thorough scans penetrating our outer hull." "Let them look," Volkov said. "Lieutenant Torres, prepare the first contact package. Universal mathematical constants, basic chemistry, peaceful intentions, everything we prepared." Torres worked quickly, transmitting on all frequencies, Captain. Minutes stretched into an hour as the human ship and alien vessels faced each other in the void. The tension on the bridge grew with each passing moment. "One of the vessels is approaching," Torres reported, her voice tight. The lead alien ship with a hull that rippled like liquid mercury moved closer, stopping just 300 meters from the Thunderchild. A shimmering beam of light extended from its bow, washing over the human vessel. "Not a weapon," Chief Engineer Tomas Rodriguez confirmed, studying his readouts. "Some kind of advanced scanning technology. They're looking deeper into our ship's composition." Without warning, all 5 alien ships began emitting a pulsing red light. "Captain, they're powering weapons," Zhang shouted. Before Volkov could respond, the lead alien ship fired. A brilliant azure beam struck the Thunderchild, causing the entire vessel to shudder violently. "Shields holding at 78%, Rodriguez reported, his hands flying across his console. "But another hit like that." "Why would they attack?" Patel wondered aloud. "We made no threatening moves." "They're surrounding us," Zhang warned, classic boxing maneuver. Volkov's decision was instant. "Warning shots only, demonstrate our defensive capabilities without inflicting damage." The Thunderchild's defensive systems unleashed precisely calibrated energy bursts that deliberately passed near the alien vessels without striking them. Rather than deterring the aliens, this seemed to provoke them further. All 5 ships fired simultaneously. The human vessel rocked under the combined impact. "Shields at 52%, Rodriguez called out. "We can't take much more of this." "Return fire," Volkov ordered grimly. "Target their weapons systems only." The Thunderchild responded with surgical precision. Advanced targeting algorithms developed for asteroid mining found vulnerabilities in the alien vessel's design. 3 of the alien ships spun away, their weapons disabled but hulls intact. "Captain, more ships approaching," Zhang warned. at least 30 from the direction of that space station. Volkov assessed the tactical display. They were hopelessly outnumbered in unknown territory. We need to retreat, plot a course away from the alien fleet. We need breathing room to understand what we're facing. The Thunderchild turned sharply and accelerated, its engines glowing with intense energy as it pushed to maximum conventional speed. They're pursuing, but they can't match our velocity, Zhang reported, unable to hide his relief. As the human ship pulled away from the alien fleet, the bridge crew realized what had just happened. Humanity's first contact with alien life had ended in combat. "Why did they attack us?" Tors asked quietly. "I don't know," Volkov replied, his voice grim. "But we just proved that one human ship can outfight several of theirs. I suspect that's going to matter a great deal in what happens next." The Thunderchild disappeared into the darkness of space, leaving the alien fleet behind. The first battle was over, but something much bigger had just begun. 3 days later, in the Grand Assembly Chamber of the Galactic Hegemony, representatives from 36 species gathered in emergency session. The vast hall was filled with beings of all descriptions, some with scales, others with tentacles, a few floating in specialized environmental bubbles. Grand Administrator Xylos, a tall being with mercury-like skin and 6 limbs, called the session to order. The chamber gradually fell silent. "We face an unprecedented situation," Xylos announced, voice resonating through the hall. "An unknown vessel has appeared in Sector 12 and engaged with our patrol fleet." Displays around the room showed images of the human ship. The Thunderchild looked primitive compared to hegemony vessels, yet formidable in its own way. Fleet Commander Drazik stepped forward, his massive reptilian form towering over most delegates. Bone ridges protruded from his scaled face, and ceremonial armor covered his muscular body. "The patrol was not defeated," Drazik growled, his translator converting the sounds to the hegemony's common language. "Our ships withdrew after the alien vessel demonstrated unexpected capabilities." A three-dimensional recording played in the center of the chamber, showing the battle from multiple perspectives. The delegates watched as the Thunderchild absorbed the initial attacks, returned fire with perfect accuracy, and then moved away at incredible speed. "One ship," Drazik said, striking his armored chest in frustration. "One primitive ship disabled 3 of our patrol vessels. Their weapons technology is precise, their defensive shields absorbed our initial attacks and their speed." He shook his massive head. "Nothing in our standard fleet can move like that." The assembly erupted in panicked conversations. Some delegates shouted questions, others huddled with their advisors. "Silence," Xylos called, and the noise gradually subsided. "We need facts, not panic. Science Counselor Thelia, what have we learned about these aliens?" A slender being with bioluminescent skin stepped forward. "Very little, Grand Administrator. They appear to be oxygen breathers based on ship design. Their vessel uses an energy source we cannot identify. Most concerning is that their communication pattern suggests a completely unfamiliar neural structure. Their thought patterns are alien in the truest sense." Drazik stepped forward again. "The meaning is clear. These are dangerous invaders with advanced technology. We must respond with overwhelming force before more of their ships arrive." From across the chamber, another delegate rose. This was Leora of the Aeluri, beings of crystalline structure who had reluctantly joined the hegemony after their own defeat centuries ago. Her translucent skin glimmered as she spoke. "Violence is premature," Leora said evenly. "They fired only after our patrol attacked. They disabled rather than destroyed our ships. These are not the actions of invaders." "Then what are they?" Drazik demanded. "Explorers, perhaps," Leora suggested, "possibly as surprised to find us as we were to find them." The assembly looked back and forth between the warrior Drazik and the peaceful Leora, the division among them apparent. An elder representative with tentacles instead of arms raised a trembling appendage. "What if this is only the first ship? What if more follow?" Drazik nodded firmly. "Exactly. We must capture this vessel, study their technology, and prepare our defenses." "But if they are peaceful," Leora countered, "attacking them could start a war we do not want." "Look at their ship," Drazik said, pointing to the display. "That is a warship. Those are weapons designed for combat. They came prepared for conflict." The debate continued for hours. Some hegemony species sided with Drazik's military approach. Others supported Leora's call for diplomatic contact, while a few suggested simply avoiding the unknown ship. Unknown to the assembly, high in the air vents above the chamber, a tiny surveillance device observed and recorded everything. No larger than an insect, it hovered silently, its advanced stealth technology making it invisible to the hegemony security systems. Back on the Thunderchild, now hidden in the shadow of a barren moon, Captain Volkov and his bridge crew watched the hegemony assembly through the surveillance drone's feed. "So that's what we're dealing with," Volkov said quietly. "A federation of species that's afraid of us." "Not all of them," Dr. Hassan pointed out. "That crystalline one Leora, she's arguing for peace." "But the big reptilian is winning the argument," Tors noted grimly. On the feed, Drazik was addressing the assembly again. "We know where they are hiding," the commander said with confidence that chilled Volkov's blood. "I have already assembled a containment fleet. 40 ships are ready to surround their position. We will capture this vessel and its crew for study, then we will be prepared when more arrive." Grand Administrator Xylos looked around the chamber. "We will put it to a vote, those in favor of Commander Drazik's containment plan." More than two-thirds of the representatives indicated their support. Those opposed, a smaller number voted with Leora. "The plan is approved," Xylos announced. "Commander Drazik, proceed with caution. We want the ship and its occupants intact for study." Drazik bowed his massive head. "The fleet moves in 8 hours. We will surround their position and close in gradually. They cannot escape." Volkov turned off the display. The bridge was quiet as the crew processed what they had learned. 8 hours, Rodriguez said, breaking the silence. "That's not much time." "Can we outrun them?" Tors asked. Volkov shook his head. "Not with 40 ships positioned around us. And the quantum fold drive needs another 48 hours to recharge." "So we're trapped," Zhang said grimly. "No," Volkov replied, determination hardening his features. "We're not trapped, we just need to change the game." The captain pointed to the star map. "We know where they're coming from, we know they're not united, and thanks to our drone, we know exactly what they're planning." "What are you suggesting, Captain?" Dr. Hassan asked. Volkov smiled slightly. "If Commander Drazik wants a demonstration of what one human ship can do, I say we give him one." The crew looked at each other nervously but with growing determination as they returned to their stations. None of them realized that this moment would be remembered in galactic history, the moment when one human ship decided to stand against an entire galaxy. The resistance rises. The Thunderchild drifted through a dense asteroid field at the edge of what the crew now knew was hegemony space. Captain Volkov had executed a daring plan. Instead of fleeing from Commander Drazik's containment fleet, they had charged directly at it, performed a series of unpredictable maneuvers that scattered the alien vessels, and then vanished using short micro-jumps with their auxiliary drives. The tactic had left the hegemony forces in disarray. "Status report," Volkov ordered, studying the tactical display. "The quantum fold drive needs another 18 hours to reach full capacity," Rodriguez reported, his face haggard from 3 days of minimal sleep. "But we've got bigger problems. Hull integrity is down to 87% after that last skirmish, and we're running low on coolant for the main weapon systems." Volkov nodded grimly. They had survived 2 more encounters with hegemony patrol groups, but the cost was mounting. The Thunderchild wasn't designed for extended combat operations. "Sensors detecting unusual readings from the largest asteroid," Zhang announced suddenly. "It appears to be hollow." "Life signs?" Volkov asked. "Uncertain there's significant interference, but I'm detecting power signatures." Patel leaned forward at her station. "Could be a hegemony trap." "Or a hiding place," Dr. Hassan suggested. "If others resist the hegemony, they might use remote locations like this." After brief deliberation, Volkov made his decision. "Take us in, Lieutenant Reed. Slow approach, shields at maximum." The Thunderchild glided cautiously toward the massive asteroid. As they drew closer, a seam appeared in the rocky surface, gradually widening to reveal an artificial hangar bay. "We're being hailed," Tors reported with surprise. "Audio only." "Put it through," Volkov ordered. A raspier voice filled the bridge. "Human vessel, you have fought the hegemony and lived. That makes you either very brave or very foolish. Either way, you are welcome here. The sanctuary offers refuge to all who resist." The hangar was large enough to accommodate the Thunderchild, with strange vessels of varied designs docked along its perimeter. As the human ship settled onto the landing platform, the crew prepared to meet their mysterious hosts. Small security team only, Volkov instructed. Commander Patel, Lieutenant Torres with me, the rest of you stand ready. The airlock cycled open to reveal a delegation of 4 beings, none resembling any species they had seen in the hegemony assembly. Leading them was a tall, bipedal figure with mottled gray skin and 4 arms. Behind it stood what appeared to be a massive arachnid, a being composed of shifting plasma contained in a mechanical framework, and a small, furry creature with 6 eyes arranged in a circle around its head. I am Jorvik, the 4-armed being introduced itself. First speaker of the sanctuary, these are my colleagues from the Council of the Forgotten. Captain Nikolai Volkov of the United Earth ship Thunderchild, Volkov responded. This is Commander Patel and Lieutenant Torres. Jorvik inclined his elongated head. You have caused quite a disturbance in hegemony space, Captain. Drazik has put a substantial bounty on your capture. We didn't start the conflict, Patel stated firmly. Few ever do, the plasma being said, its voice resonating from its mechanical frame. The hegemony attacks first and asks questions later if they ask at all. Jorvik gestured toward the interior of the asteroid. Please join us in the central chamber, there is much to discuss. As they walked, Torres whispered to Volkov, this could still be a trap. If they wanted to capture us, they could have done so already, he replied quietly. Let's hear what they have to say. The central chamber was a vast domed space illuminated by artificial sunlight from panels in the ceiling. Hundreds of beings from dozens of species moved about, engaged in various activities. Some appeared to be traders, others engineers or scientists. Armed security personnel of various species patrolled the perimeter. Welcome to the sanctuary, Jorvik announced proudly. The last free port in this sector, home to those who have escaped hegemony dominance. How long has this place existed? Volkov asked, taking in the thriving underground society. Nearly 70 of your Earth years, replied the arachnid being, its voice surprisingly melodic. I am TCHK Zara, by the way. My people, the Arachnari, were among the first the hegemony conquered. This was originally our mining outpost before we converted it. The plasma entity floated forward. I am Luminex of the Fasari. My civilization was reduced to servitude 3 centuries ago. We provide much of the power for this station. The small furry being chirped excitedly. Picky scout leader, my people small, good at hiding, better at finding. Jorvik led them to a conference area overlooking the main chamber. We've been monitoring your encounters with the hegemony forces. Your ship's capabilities are impressive. Particularly your quantum fold drive, Luminex added. We detected the space-time distortion when you arrived in this sector. Nothing in known space moves like that. Volkov exchanged glances with his officers. The technology is experimental. We weren't supposed to end up here. A fortunate accident, perhaps, Jorvik said, his 4 hands forming complex gestures. For us, if not for you. A holographic display activated in the center of the table, showing a map of the sector with hegemony patrol routes highlighted. The hegemony controls 37 systems directly and has vassal relationships with 23 more, TCHK Zara explained. They maintain their dominance through technological superiority and overwhelming numbers. But their control is not absolute, Jorvik continued. There are 18 resistance groups operating throughout hegemony space plus independent operators like us. We communicate when possible, share resources, conduct raids, but we've never had the means to truly challenge their power. Until now, Luminex said, their plasma form brightening. Your ship's technology could change everything. Volkov frowned. We're one vessel with limited resources stranded far from home. But you've already accomplished what none of us could, TCHK Zara clicked excitedly. You've humiliated Drazik, exposed weaknesses in their patrol strategies, and created fear in the assembly. For the first time in generations, the hegemony feels vulnerable. Picky bounced on his 6 legs. Big ships, slow thinking, you fight smart, move fast, hit hard. Jorvik leaned forward. The sanctuary has resources, raw materials, technical knowledge, even weapons, but we lack a vessel capable of standing against hegemony cruisers. Together, we could strike a meaningful blow. What exactly are you proposing? Patel asked cautiously. An alliance, Jorvik replied simply. We help repair and upgrade your ship. You help us disrupt hegemony operations, perhaps even long enough for your drive to be modified for a return journey to Earth. Tors raised an eyebrow. You'd help us get home. If possible, Luminex said, our scientists have theories about your drive's operation based on our sensor readings, but it would take time and cooperation. Volkov considered the offer, and in exchange, you want us to fight for you. With us, TCHK Zara corrected, against a common enemy. Before Volkov could respond, alarms blared throughout the facility. Picky's communicator chirped, and he listened intently before turning to the others. Hegemony ships, he exclaimed. Many ships coming this way. Jorvik activated another display showing the approaching fleet, at least 15 vessels, led by a massive dreadnought. Drazik, Luminex said grimly, he must have tracked your energy signature. The sanctuary's defenses can't withstand that level of firepower, TCHK Zara clicked anxiously. We must evacuate. There's no time, Jorvik countered. Their advance ships will arrive before we can get everyone out. Volkov studied the tactical display, mind racing through options. Finally, he turned to his officers. Get back to the ship, prepare for immediate departure. You're abandoning us. Luminex's plasma form darkened with what appeared to be disappointment. No, Volkov replied firmly. We're going to lead them away from you. Commander Patel, contact Rodriguez. I want those coolant lines bypassed and weapons at full capacity in 10 minutes. Jorvik realized what Volkov was suggesting. You can't take on that fleet alone. We don't need to defeat them, Volkov explained. Just distract them long enough for your people to evacuate. We're the ones they want. A noble sacrifice, TCHK Zara said softly. Volkov's lips quirked in a half-smile. Who said anything about sacrifice? We're very good at not getting caught. Within minutes, the Thunderchild was powering up, its engines glowing with renewed intensity after emergency repairs. Volkov addressed the resistance leaders one last time over the communication link. We'll draw them away to the Cygnus Nebula. The radiation should mask our signature while we play hide and seek with Drazik. Where should we rendezvous afterward? Jorvik transmitted coordinates. The old mining facility in the Corvus Belt will wait 3 days. If we don't appear by then, don't wait longer, Volkov advised. Good luck. The Thunderchild launched from the asteroid hangar, accelerating rapidly toward the approaching hegemony fleet. As expected, the alien vessels immediately changed course to pursue, ignoring the sanctuary entirely. On the bridge, Volkov watched the tactical display as the distance closed. Status. Quantum fold at 82% and climbing, Rodriguez reported from engineering. Weapons hot, shields at maximum. All hegemony vessels are in pursuit, Zhang confirmed. They've taken the bait. Volkov settled into his command chair, a determined expression on his face. Lieutenant Reed, plot a course through the densest part of the nebula. Let's show Commander Drazik why it's a mistake to hunt humans. As the Thunderchild raced toward the swirling clouds of the nebula, the crew knew this was just the beginning. One human ship had already changed the balance of power in this corner of the galaxy. With allies and a cause worth fighting for, they might just change the fate of entire civilizations. Behind them in the sanctuary, Jorvik watched the tactical display as the single human vessel led 15 hegemony ships away from their hidden base. Will they survive? TCHK Zara asked quietly. I believe they will, Jorvik replied. And when they return, we will be ready to turn this act of defiance into a revolution. The resistance was rising, sparked by a single ship from a world the hegemony had never heard of, until now.